Quebec minister being surprised, that's the word, that asylum seekers are being given free bus tickets from New York City. How is anything at Roxham Road a surprise now? This has been an ongoing disaster for years. We have gone out to Roxham Road on several occasions, myself included. And it's absolutely incredible. This is what's known as an irregular border crossing. And basically, refugees, or in many cases, economic migrants, who don't want to get in line and go through into Canada in a proper and legal fashion, they merely waltz across the border. And, there's our CMP there. But believe me, folks, their weapons are holstered. In fact, they turn into the Royal Canadian Mounted Bellhop Service, and they actually help the migrants over. It's in the tens of thousands. And naturally, Drea, they're told, now you come on this date in the future to your refugee hearing. And lo and behold, nobody shows up. And a lot of these migrants are going to major Canadian cities such as Toronto. Mayor Tory's spoken out about this. We don't have the money. We don't have the shelter space that is filling up because of this. It is a farce, Drea, because the reason I say this is that if you are a refugee, if you are fleeing tyranny, if you are fleeing genocide, whatever the situation is, once you step into the United States of America, you're home free. And you can't play the, Trump, the boogeyman is coming to get me. It's now Joe Biden, who is completely all about open borders, at least in the southern border of the U.S. and Mexico. So I don't understand. Well, I have a theory. I'll say that later. But in terms of how the refugee process works, once you arrive at the first safe haven country, that's it. You're home free. You've crossed the finish line. Why is this farce, Drea, being allowed to continue at Roxham Road?
I know, you're not fleeing from state to state or from, like you say, the US to Canada. I have my theories on why it's happening. I just wanted to read a little bit more of the article too. It says the New York City Mayor Eric Adams told Fox that his administration helps the reticketing process for people who arrive in the city but want to go elsewhere. So this is exactly what you're talking about. Why is that happening? He says that they want to go to other places, perhaps, including Canada. And, buying the ticket for them to go there, I guess it doesn't go directly there. It goes within 30 minutes of Roxham Road, and then they find their way there, I think is what it says. But I agree, they're not at risk. Yep. And even if Trump was in power, it's not a good enough excuse. And, Canada pretending that it's so surprised stuff like this is happening is just a joke.
Yeah, that is amazing. I wonder if this Quebec minister actually reads the newspapers or wherever she gets her news. But it is an outrage. And I can tell you from our previous reporting, Drea, in Plattsburgh, New York, there's an entire cottage industry, from consultants to taxi cab drivers that drive you right to the so-called irregular border crossing. This I don't see ending anytime soon. And what I think is going on, because this is clearly illegal the way I read the Immigration Act. This is all about Justin Trudeau. First of all, virtue signaling. He did that whole welcome to Canada hashtag tweet back when Trump was the president of the U.S. But more than that, Drea, I think this is Justin Trudeau saying, come on in, come one, come all. We know you're not going to show up at the refugee hearing board. But here's the
matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Well, actually, it does matter. Here's what matters. Just remember who let you in.
Yeah.
Right? So every 4 years, when we have an election here in Canada, put the X next to Team Red. That's the quid pro quo here. This is about changing, I think, the demographics of Canada, Drea, to have tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands more people coming in who will be so grateful for the free ride that it results in a vote for the Liberal Party of Canada. What are your thoughts?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't one of the first steps that Prime Minister Trudeau did when he first got into power was go ahead and sort of shave off the time it takes to become a citizen in order to vote before the next election, if you recall that. So that was kind of a dead giveaway of how things were going to work. It speaks exactly to what you're saying. I suppose it's a good chess move if you really think about it. And you're right, it's just an open door. Come to Canada, you'll be here, but just remember, vote for Trudeau. Yeah. I hope it doesn't actually work anymore, but we'll see.
Yeah, I guess so. Who knows when that next federal election is? It can't come soon enough for me, Drea. But I guess that all depends on, well, not the Prime Minister, but Jagmeet Singh, I would argue. It's kind of perversely ironic. The second last time I went to Roxham Road, I had a rental car that I got at the Montreal airport, and I show up, and I get read the riot act by a Mountie at that this base, which now looks permanent, by the way, not temporary, that I'm parked in a no stopping zone. And now, Drea, just so our audience understands what Roxham Road looks like there, you're quite literally in the middle of nowhere. It's just that there's no cars. There's like kind of, rural properties with, several acres worth of, land. But me being in a no stopping zone on this desolate road. By the way, some vehicles are allowed to stop. Those are the buses, the big coaches that come in to haul away the migrants to a nice, comfy hotel with 3 square meals a day. But I thought, what is wrong with this picture? I know from my tax deductions and my paycheck every 2 weeks, I'm paying my fair share of taxes, and I'm getting reamed out by this RCMP constable for being in a no stopping zone on literally a dead-end street in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, illegal aliens are coming in and having their bags carried for them. Does this make sense to you, Drea?
No, and we saw the double standard happen all through COVID lockdowns as well, with them coming in. Even the testing wasn't the same, the quarantine wasn't the same, and the amount of money we're now learning about that went into that as well is nuts. So we've seen this happening. Everybody just sort of seems to be turning a blind eye to this issue out there in that area who has the ability to do something about this. Yeah. But in that article, it says that they need to look into it, whatever that means. So,
yeah, that means the status quo will remain, I think, until there's regime change in Ottawa, Drea. That's what that means.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.